What's up, guys? I'm Crystal Lee Naomi, aka Jasmine Borders on Tyler Perry's Sisters. Be sure to subscribe to the Haves and the Have-Nots review for not only reviews on the Haves and the Have-Nots, but also on Sistas. And while you're at it, give your girl a follow on Instagram at Crystal Lee Naomi. And I'll see you every Wednesday at 9, only on BET.
All right, Sisters fans, hope everyone's doing well. Ironically enough, I didn't have too many videos to do about the premiere for part 2 of season 2. That's not to say it was a bad episode. If memory serves, didn't I give the episode like a 9 or an 8.5? I actually enjoyed it for what it was, but it pretty much was us getting back into the swing of things, and I had done a couple of sister videos before the premiere, so it really wasn't too much to talk about in terms of theories and whatnot. But I've already done a video just now about who used Karen's business card, and this one is just more of a discussion video because, like I said towards the what I said during the first part of Sisters season 2 is Andi has become almost as toxic as her relationship with Gary. It's like almost every episode it feels like I'm disliking her more and more when typically you want to be rooting for the main character, and even when she gets victories it feels hollow because it's almost like, I'm not saying Andi hasn't fought for what she has, not just financially or career wise, but it just feels like because she makes such bad decisions and then goes through so much turmoil due to as a result of said decisions, are we supposed to feel bad for her? Are we supposed to feel like we want Andi to win? It's really hard to do that because of the fact that she puts herself in these situations because she's not really a good friend. She's not. I mean, if you go back to the episode where she spoke with Fatima, and she's definitely one of those people where she'll ask for advice. You give her the best advice you can, and then she'll just opt to do the opposite and then call you up when everything blows up in her face, as you told her what would happen if you did the opposite of what I tell you to do. So Fatima is real with her, pretty much explains why you need to let Gary go. And then oh my God, now I understand why you are the way you are, Fatima. I don't want to be like you. It's like, what? Look, don't get me wrong. I understand what Andi meant because Andi wants a committed relationship as opposed to simply dating around with no strings attached. I understand that, but for whatever reason, it just felt like it sounded so elitist, uppity, as in, ooh, Fatima, the way you live in romance and whatnot, that's not what I want at all. It's like, no, I want to be better than that. It just feels like Fatima would be a downgrade. But I'm not saying like Andi dating Fatima. I'm talking about their dating lifestyles, just to put that out there. I just feel like, well, I mean, I guess you could say Fatima, to use like a pop culture reference, sure, Fatima might be living like a bachelorette, just dating like 32 or 25 guys or however many contestants are in the season. But at the same time, you can say what you want about Fatima, just, I guess you could say, exploring her options on the menu, but it doesn't really matter because unlike Fatima, Andi, you're messing around with someone who's married. And what got me is the fact, and here's the part that just blew my mind because it just shows that Andi hasn't learned a damn thing. She goes on to say, oh, you know what? Let me go back a few pages in my notebook because I want to make sure. Oh, here we go. Here we go. What did she say? Oh, and while I'm looking it up, make sure you like the video, hit subscribe, click the bell notification icon and select all. That way you don't miss out whenever I post content to the channel. And follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. Oh, Gary is loving, he's kind, he's sweet. It's like, what about, okay, sorry for all the page flipping, but I had to go back to get the exact quote. What is it about Gary from your past couple of interactions that have shown him to be sweet, loving, and kind? He's been drunk, abusive, and jealous, and demeaning, and controlling. I don't want... It's almost like if I say Andi is getting what she deserves, then I feel like I'm agreeing with what Andi has been saying in the last few episodes. Like, maybe this is what I deserve for dating a married man. So it's like, I just don't get it. It doesn't click. I really don't get it. It's like, I just don't care about that storyline, and it's a damn shame. You know, I think what's really gotten me going about this season is the fact that at least in season 1, it was like a pentagon is a 5-sided, rectangle is 4, hexagon is 6, pentagon is 5, because you had Andi, Gary, Jasmine. Yeah, I was about to say has been for a reason. Sorry about that. Andi, Gary, Jasmine, Morris, and Leslie. So it was like, 5 sides to this. It felt like the story had some meat to it. It wasn't just about an affair. It was the fact that, there's like a second layer to this deception where you got the Jasmine and Morris angle. Technically 3 if you count Gary, but his innocence has yet to be proven. It's just one of those things where I feel because you took away over half of the characters of this storyline, it makes the Andi arc even more jarring because of the fact that it just feels very repetitive. I feel like we're not really getting much from the Gary side of things in terms of development. And because of that, it's almost like Andi is just stuck. And every time you think she's about to move forward, it doesn't matter because she's always going to regress to that woman who's in love with this man who's clearly not the person who she first was introduced to when she was in that store wearing her bunny slippers or whatever. So, yeah, it was great that we saw Andi ignoring Gary's phone calls, but at the same time, she's clearly shown that she's still this, I can't even think of the right words. I know Valentine's Day. Oh, I hate Valentine's Day. She's just so blinded by her feelings for Gary despite everything he's done to her. It just doesn't matter who gives her this great advice. It's almost like at this point, it's like Fatima, Danny. Well, no, every time Danny tries to keep it real, she gets the boot by Sabrina and Dan. Sabrina and Karen. So it's like, wow, okay. So it's like, if Andi going to do what Andi going to do, then stop wasting everyone's time. Stop asking for advice. It's almost like Andi and Sabrina are the same character because Sabrina, it's like you took all of season 1. Calvin told you about who he is and, that kind of thing. But then you were so anxious to hear the opinions of others that you spent more time talking to other characters and their thoughts and opinions about Calvin, trying to set him up to test his masculinity as opposed to taking Calvin at his word. And hell, even now you have Maurice tricking him into doing a drug test because you're too afraid to ask him up front. So it's almost like the opposite where, no, actually it's the same thing. Both Andi and Sabrina ask multiple characters the same thing. They get various good advice, especially like Maurice told her like it is. Like, look, hey, you need to talk with him or believe him. It's like this the same sad circle over and over again. So it's like I'm becoming less and less invested in the main character story arc because nothing's really happening. I mean, hell, the Danny thing with dealing with Preston's racist brothers, that has me more intrigued than the Andi storyline. But that's just me. So what did you think of how Andi reacted to Fatima's lifestyle? It's almost like, well, it's weird, Andi, because you spent more time processing what Fatima said. And I guess you could say it felt like she was trying to diagnose Fatima and why she is the way she is, instead of absorbing the advice Fatima was giving Andi and then evaluate, girl, you're right. I really need to leave this dude alone. It's like, look, I was able to come back from a major obstacle that he presented, and now I'm in a better position financially and career-wise. But no, she's too busy, just being blinded by how she felt about who she thought he was. So it's like she's quick to call out the flaws in other people, or I guess you could say what she contributes or defines as flaws, but she isn't able to realize her own personal faults. And it's sad. It's just mean. I feel like if nothing else, Andi's going to end up alone or dead by the end of all this, but that's just me. Thanks so much for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you would like to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal, Cash App, or join Patreon for as little as $1 a month.